Why do some novels feel merely competent while others feel unforgettable? I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on GBM, we are joined by a terrific writer. His name is Marc Neuffer, and he has penned a book that's going to be so helpful to either aspiring or established writers out there. It is called Fiction Writer Power Tools. It's a series, volumes 1, 2, and 3. They are sharp and sophisticated guides to the deeper mechanics that separate functional storytelling from exceptional fiction. This conversation will dive into the tools, principles, diagnostic insights that serious writers can use to elevate their craft. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him on TV today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing books. The links are below this interview. Marc, thanks so much for joining me here today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's an exciting opportunity to espouse on how to make great fiction.
Absolutely. So what makes great fiction? What makes a great story?
In the end, a reader may not remember exactly what your story was, but it will remember how it made them feel.
Hmm.
And that's the emotional connection the writer establishes with the reader from the first page to the last. You can have action after action after action, but if there's no depth to the story, no emotional connection, it's not going to work. And readers know that.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your life as a writer and a reader.
Okay, as a reader, I've been reading adult novels since the fifth grade. My first one was a story called Mr. Roberts by a guy named Higgins. I don't know. It was about a World War II officer on a naval ship in World War II. So I've been reading for a lot of years and enjoying it. And I find that I fell into certain stories. I
Hmm.
was there. I was experiencing. I was the character. And those stories that don't do that generally don't get past the second chapter. Now, I was in the Navy for 22 years, so retired as a naval officer, and I had plenty of time at sea to read.
Hmm.
And I did not intend to get into writing fiction. It just happened. One day I was musing about the beginning of the universe, physics of it,
Hmm.
and I was thinking about the pop and the fizz and the taste of it. And I sat down, started writing my first novel, which was Heat and Light, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. I found out I was a pretty good
Yeah.
storyteller.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now you're sharing what you've learned by writing and reading with others. When did you say to yourself, let me write a book that'll help other writers?
Well, through my beginning of my writing journey, I found a lot of rules that seemed just too truncated, too soundbite-ish, and I didn't trust them. I saw in other books by good authors that they weren't following these rules. And then I found out where these rules came from, and because it was easier to teach a rule than it is to explain the process of that rule. So that was one of the first things I did with uh, fiction writer power tools. Uh,
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I was going to say wonderful. I think that having a guide for writers is important. And there's not a lot out there. Stephen King famously wrote a book on how to write. I think it's called On Writing by Stephen King. James Patterson has a good video out there in Master Class on writing a novel. But your books are more in depth. There's three of them. Let's go through them one, two, three. Does three cover, does one rather cover more of the basics?
No, no, they can all be used. They should be used as a compilation because there's no from beginning to writers to intermediate writers to advanced writers.
Hmm.
It's every topic stands alone, and they're tools. They're not lessons. Lessons belong in a classroom.
Yeah.
Technique belongs in a craft, whereas tools belong in the craftsman's hands. And these are tools that I've built. My writing partner and I have built for to give writers the tools they need. And when they practice those tools, they'll go from apprentice to journeyman to master.
Wonderful, wonderful. Everybody thinks they have a book in them. People dream about writing a book. Many people start with their memoirs. What would you say would be the first step to writing a book? Outlining it, or a lot of people just write straight through, or just finding whatever works for them?
Okay, there are three types of writers. There's the discovery writers, which are called pantsters. There are the plotters that write an outline, character sketches, character profiles, and there's the plantsters, which do a little bit of both. I advise people to start writing however, whatever in your comfort zone. Don't try to find a prescription. Every writer's journey, every writer's approach to a story is different, and you have to find yours and not trying to squeeze yourself into some imaginary box of this is what authors do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Everybody's puzzle pieces together differently. You have to figure out what works for you. Some people can kind of keep it all up here. Other people need a spreadsheet of sorts. You keep it all up here and then just put it down on paper. Very, very cool. Talk to us about some of the topics that you cover within the volumes.
Okay, well, let's talk about volume three. We've got things like, oh, geez, where am I going to start? Uh, it covers interiority, and it covers how to write children, how to write male code, female code, group dynamics, how to approach an antagonist. No antagonist thinks they're the bad guy, things of that nature. So they're all tools that, when used, get sharper.
Wonderful, wonderful. I like that tip. No antagonist thinks he or she is the bad guy. And it's very, very true. It makes him more human, makes him more relatable if it's somebody whose situation has just spiraled out of control. Talk to us about writing dialogue. That is an area where I think a lot of writers struggle to keep the dialogue sounding real.
Well, first of all, dialogue should have a lot of subtext to it. For instance, let's say you have a couple who are in the kitchen and they're arguing about who's going to do the dishes. That argument is not about doing dishes. That's
Yeah.
about something totally different. Dialogue should feel natural. If you struggle with dialogue, go to a coffee house and listen to people talk.
Mm.
We don't talk like a lot of writers write. They try to get it so precise that it takes the humanity out of it. Dialogue needs to have an impact. Every single piece of dialogue needs an impact. And of course, when you're writing dialogue, you don't want to stack dialogue, 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 dialogue. You're going to have to also provide some interiority of the characters interspaced with the dialogues.
When you talk about interiority, tell us what that is.
That's what's going on inside the character.
Yeah.
If you don't get in there and give it to the reader and let the reader experience being that character, then it's going to read very flat.
Yeah. And also, people don't talk in such a way that their conversation is so fact-filled. I think that's what a lot of writers have a
Oh, yeah.
problem with, that they're trying to use it as a way of conveying information to an audience. And true, it's going to do that, but it needs to do it in a subtle way, right?
Right. When they do that, what you just described, they're using the character as a plot device. Uh, most fiction books need to be character driven because that's what we're going to attach ourselves to. Fiction's all about connecting with the characters, even the bad guys, and getting that emotion. If you try to be didactic and providing explanations, many times we call it the "as you know, Bob." Characters will tell each other things they already know.
Right.
Readers detect that. They know good writing. They know good reading when they see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to us about writing historical pieces. If you're writing a piece of historical fiction, that can be really challenging, right?
Well, I wrote a historical novel called Hammered Whispers. It's about the Viking Age and starts off with a young boy being on Lindisfarne Island with the Vikings first attacked the British Isles.
Hmm.
And he escapes, but his parents don't. And a monk comes to that from Northumberland and rescues him and takes him back to Ireland. And so
Hmm.
I had to really do a lot of research on the Vikings, Irish history, uh, period English history about the starting with the 800s. But that was fun because I like
Hmm.
history. So if you don't like to enjoy reading history, you're probably not going to write a very good historical novel.
Yeah.
But as a historical novel, it's all about setting, culture, language, and societal structures. And
Yeah.
once you get that down and feel you're there, then you can write it.
Yeah, you've got to really entrench yourself in it. Probably reading other writings from that era would help. Watching other
Well,
films from that era would help, right?
yeah, I wouldn't say films because films get it wrong oftentimes. I did so much research. I read 5 books on Irish history and English history and even the Anglo-Saxon chronicles to
Yeah.
get a feel for how they expressed ideas, and
So,
that comes across as authentic.
hmm. Talk to us
I
about
have read,
active. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have saw an attempt at a historical novel, and everybody was speaking modern American language. Just oh no.
Yeah, you see that a lot in films that people are not using the correct language for the era. Casino Royale actually sticks in my mind of an example of bad dialogue where they're trying to explain how the card game is played through dialogue, and it seems so stilted and fake. Anytime it seems stilted or fake, you've lost the reader, you've lost the viewer. Screenplays or novels, there's a lot of crossover there. That's for sure.
Well, but I tell people don't look at a movie and think that's the way a book is written. They're totally different things. In a
Mhm.
movie, you've got sound, light, music, the actors' character doing their characters, the cinematographers, the wardrobe people, all these people it takes to make a movie. The writer has to do that and
Right.
provide that emotion in the written word.
Exactly. Exactly. Talk to us about active voice versus passive voice. Many writers think it's a settled issue. What are they missing?
It is not a settled issue. That's another rule that we dug into. I wrote a book called oh, where is it? I can't find it. It's called Fiction Character Psychology,
Hmm.
and also a book called Rules, Fiction Rule Archaeology. We went into each one of these rules. Passive voice is fine. Active voice is fine. It's how you deploy it. It's the technique in how you use it. There are no rules, and that's the biggest problem we get with uh, online training and uh, things like Zoom groups. They think these rules are hard and fast, and they're not. They're truncated. So the rules, if you don't understand where they come from and how to deploy them properly, I mean, you can break every rule and do fine because all the masters have done it.
Right. Yeah, that's the important thing. I think you're actually only going to stand out if you do break the rules. If you're doing what everybody else does, you're fitting in, you're not standing out, whether, you're writing a novel, your memoir, or whatever it might be. I think you do have to find an inventive way to do it, if possible. Talk to us about subtext and why it deserves such close attention.
Because we live subtext constantly, every day. We live subtext. When you're out and about, when you're in public, when you encounter somebody, when you even have a casual exchange at a checkout counter, there's a lot of subtext going on. We're constantly evaluating people by their looks, by the way they act, by the way they sound, how they relate to the environment. And that needs to come out in the subtext, especially when you have conflict. If you don't want to directly say, uh, you don't want to tell the reader what the conflict is. You want them to be able to see it.
Mm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Feel it and experience it as well. Talk to us a little bit about your teaching career. That's one of the different aspects of you.
Okay, well, I my first episode of teaching was training 18, 19-year olds to operate naval nuclear propulsion plants.
Hmm.
And I was a classroom instructor as well as a hands-on instructor. And then I got to be the supervisor and the lead instructor. And I would train my other instructors. And I always told them they're not going to be impressed by how much you know, but how much you teach them.
Hmm.
And that's important. The true teacher has to take themselves out of the equation, teach to the back of the room, understand that it's their job to turn that little light on.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that a lot. Now I've done some other teachings, both in disaster preparations, safety, industrial safety. I've done some public speaking on both those items. I enjoy teaching. I really do. It's exhilarating, especially when you see those lights go on and people have questions.
Yeah. I also think teaching makes you better at your craft
Oh
because you
yeah.
have to think about it, analyze it, and question why you do what you do and explain it to others.
And the more you verbalize what you know, the easier it is to recall it and easier it is to deploy it.
Absolutely. Before we leave you today, let me ask you this. For someone struggling with a manuscript that feels close but still isn't working, what is one tool from this book that could change the game for them?
Well, one of them is good is the enemy of perfection. If they
Mm,
try to if they try to massage this thing, take it apart, put it back together so many times, after a while they've lost everything they
exactly.
initially had. So if you've got a manuscript and you think it's ready for somebody to look at, find a developmental editor. Don't trust other people's opinion. You don't know what their qualifications are, what their skill level is. And that happens on the internet all the time, especially in uh, Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Somebody will ask a question, they'll get 15 answers. And if an author is looking for answers from a Zoom group, they're not going to find it.
Yeah.
Use the professionals that exist. You take any best-selling novel, it's been through 5 editors at least.
Mhm.
So what you're seeing is not what it started out to be necessarily.
Yeah.
So use a developmental editor. Then step through the other types of editing services that there are. If you're serious about your work, it'll cost a little money, but the end result is worth it.
Wonderful. Great advice across the board. The name of the series we've been exploring today is called Fiction Writer Power Tools, Volumes 1, 2, and 3. They are rigorous, insightful craft guides for serious writers who want to move beyond formulas and understand the deeper storytelling principles that make fiction resonate across genre and style. Mark, thank you so much for joining me here today.
You're quite welcome. I want to say something that none of your authors have ever said. You don't have to buy my books. All those chapters are on our new website, fictionbrain.com. It is a free library. You don't have to register, nothing to buy. It's just open it up, go to the library and pick these out. We wanted to share these with a broad spectrum of people.
Wonderful.
Make it available.
Fictionbrain.com. We will look for that. Look for your books. Amazon links are below if you want to have the books in hand and give them a close read. I think they'll be invaluable to you. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford for the Global Book Network. So long for now.